Motorhead Garage, the program that each week introduces you to and shows you how to install the latest in exciting and innovative products for your vehicle. Now here's your host, Dave Dobson.
Well, Motorheads, if you watch our show frequently, you've no doubt seen commercials for the Pate Swap Meet, and you might think, well, it's just a little swap meet, so what's the big deal? Why do they want to be on a national platform? Well, actually, Robert, you guys are a pretty big deal. What makes the Pate Swap Meet special?
Well, we're trying to present ourselves as a national draw at this time. We've taken the swap meet from 2,000 to 4,000 spaces of our people coming out and setting up, and now we've grown it to up in the 10,000 range, and we have people that through registration that we've seen that are coming from every state in the U.S. along with overseas guests now. And we hand out badges and thank them for coming from overseas, and that we've grown it up quite a bit by doing this reach and let people know where the other swap meet that they hear about, all the big ones up on the East Coast. Here we are right in the center of the country, and we've got a strong draw, and it's getting better every year, and we're very proud of the people we have coming out, and that it's making the swap meet a better swap meet every year.
Well, it's becoming a bigger swap meet every year as well. You're no longer the other swap meet. The other guys are the other swap meet. How big is the Pate Swap Meet these days?
We've got it where if you walk up and down the aisles, which you be rather athletic if you get to do that. We're a little over 18 miles. If you walked up and down all the aisles and see all the different vendors, you're going to spend all day, and you probably will not get it done unless you're almost in a run. It's just too long and it's too big. And we have people that are bringing stuff from Model Ts into the 70s now, and it's quite a variety of items that are out there for you to see. So we're having people that are coming from up north on the West Coast, Missouri, many other places that are unable to find these parts that they've been looking for, and this swap meet is starting to satisfy what they're looking for. So it's been fun to watch it grow and watch the people that find that treasure that they've been seeking.
Well, thanks to the way you have it organized at the Pate Swap Meet, people don't have to dig that hard to find treasure. How do you have it organized, and how does that make it easy for folks that are coming to find a specific part?
Now, what we've done is organize each space, and we give each vendor, he may buy one space or several spaces, but we identify each one of the spaces, and that way when he signs up or registers, he puts on there that he's selling Chevrolet parts or whatever he's selling, and you know what block to go look in to see what you're looking for. And that's helped us greatly. So we're working at it.
Now, Paul, Robert mentioned 18 miles worth of stuff to see at the Pate Swap Meet. How do you make it easier for folks that may not be able to walk 18 miles in a day?
Well, the Pate Swap Meet is contracted with a scooter rental company, and they provide something in excess of 600 scooters for rent. Each scooter has a basket on it, so you can haul your treasures back with the scooter and the basket. Or you can bring your own scooter for transportation as long as it's ADA compliant, and we have set rules on how those scooters are configured.
Of course, at the Pate Swap Meet, folks can find everything from pieces of memorabilia to entire automobiles. So, Charles, what if someone's buying a fender or an engine or something, they don't want to haul it around all day?
Well, that's no problem for us. At the Pate Swap Meet, we actually have parts haulers that can haul anything you need from, let's say, a small water pump if you have trouble carrying it, all the way up to an engine block and transmission. We've actually custom built 2 lifts that can lift an engine and transmission and secure them, and then able to haul them out to the parking lot to your truck or vehicle to get them loaded for you.
Now, everyone at the Pate Swap Meet strives to make it affordable for everybody. Paul, what's it cost to get a family into the Pate Swap Meet?
There is no charge whatsoever for entry to the swap meet, although Texas Motor Speedway charges $10 per car for parking.
Go to pateswapmeet.com, find all the information you need. It's a great day out for the entire family, and just $10 gets you into the parking lot, gets you into the show. All kinds of stuff to see at the Pate Swap Meet. Go to pateswapmeet.com to find out all about it. The dates of the show at the Texas Motor Speedway, April 24th through 26th. We'll see you right around the corner when Motorhead Garage returns. We'll be right back. Motorhead Garage is brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. PaintedAutoBodyParts.com, the leading U.S. auto body parts online store. And by American Muscle, the aftermarket muscle car experts.
This cylinder head has to keep a massive amount of combustion in this combustion chamber right here, usually over 100 psi. And if it's not right, you're going to have problems. Welcome to this AMSOIL Tech Tip. We're talking about cylinder head warpage and how to measure it. Well, first off, our cylinder head's located right here. That's the part on top of the block. Now, the block has the combustion chamber and the cylinder head, and there's your gasket. You put it down, you're supposed to seal that combustion pressure in there. Well, if you don't, you might have a warped cylinder head. So what do you want to do? You want to measure it. You can go in 8 different places and measure your cylinder head. There's a specification for that. Better yet, we'll show it to you right here. What you want to do is make sure the cylinder head's clean. Once it's clean, you can take a straight edge. You can go across there and take a feeler gauge, go in all those angles, and make sure that feeler gauge, usually about 3 to 6 thousandths, not poking up under there. If it is, you're going to have a problem. Well, in this cylinder head right here, now there's combustion chambers and oil chambers. If that thing was warped, that would cause that coolant to get into the oil or into the combustion. That's a problem.
It's a major problem because coolant is oil's kryptonite, if you will. It doesn't matter what we've got in the oil. It doesn't matter whose brand of oil. Coolant will destroy the oil very quickly, and you can see wear instantly.
And not to mention the temperatures and the combustion pressure. That's also a problem for an engine.
It is, and what can happen there is you lock up the cooling system because you're getting combustion pressure in there, and then it can't flow, and it overheats. You create all kinds of issues. One way to check that is obviously you look at your dipstick. If your oil level is too high, something's getting in there other than oil. Otherwise, your dipstick can also look milky. When you get water in there, it's going to mix with the oil, and it looks like a chocolate malt. I wouldn't recommend eating it, however.
No, that's for sure. There's also a great tech tip you gave me. What do I want to do after I fix the problem?
Yeah, the main thing you want to do, as fast as you can once it's fixed, change the oil.
Yeah, you said it's kryptonite, so make sure you change the oil. You know, even a slight warpage here, you got combustion pressure, you got oil, you got a mess going down into your engine. So make sure you use the best product possible. And you can find the best at amsoil.com.
Here we have a 1967 Camaro. This was the first Camaro delivered to the Don Yanko dealership in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania. This is number 1. This is his test mule. This has a 427, 450 horse on it. This is Granada Gold. As we come around here, we have the 4-speed. Some of the modifications become kind of a standard where you have the gauges under the dash, you have the tack on it, and as he went through the years, he would order them with the 427 and he would order them with the suspension package to save having to do that changeover. This particular car, Don ordered with a 12-volt positive traction, 373 gear ratio. This is a mono-leaf suspension on this particular car. The later ones come with a multi-leaf suspension. As you can see, this was the beginning of the Yanko badging you would see on the car. We have one right here in the grille. You would have a Yanko badge on the front fender on either side, and you would usually have one on the tail panel. This is also the beginning of where Don Yanko started with his own fiberglass hood, very similar to what you would see on the 67 Corvette. As the years went on in 68, he developed a different style hood.
One look under the hood of any car and you will see lots of great places for mice to nest. And it's cozy in there, it's warm, and there are wires in there, and mice love to chew on wires. Now some say that's because the wires are now wrapped in soy. The insulation's made of soy and the mice like the taste. And that may be true, but the real reason mice love to chew on the wires is because of their anatomy. Their teeth never stop growing, so they need to chew on something to keep their teeth trimmed, if you will. Now, the best way to prevent damage in your vehicle from mice is to keep them out of your space in the first place. And Mouse Blocker does just that. Mouse Blocker uses ultrasonic waves to make things uncomfortable for mice. They don't even want to be anywhere near your space or your vehicle. And that, my friends, is how we keep things rodent-free here in our Mouse Blocker studio. A while back, Motorhead Garage heard about some amazing blasting cabinets that were made in the USA, so we went to check them out. The company makes cabinets for both hobbyists and professionals, and we were blown away. This is the headquarters of Raptor Blaster, some of the coolest blasting equipment you will ever see. And our friend Rick Hayes is the mastermind behind all of this. Rick, how did you get started in the blasting business?
Well, for about a 10-year period, I was an outside sales rep in the industry and kind of learned the industry. And one of the things that I found that was going on in the industry in sandblast cabinets, there was this big gap between a couple of companies that made very high-end cabinets that were very industrial quality, and a lot of stuff from China and garbage that just wasn't good money spent. And there was a gap in the market, and it really a need for a cabinet line that is very industrial but at a moderate price. So one day I just decided to quit my day job and start manufacturing and selling sandblast cabinets. We manufacture our own line of wet and dry blast sandblast cabinets.
And so tell me about that. There's two different kinds.
There is.
And we'll get into that, but let's talk about the initial quality of what you roll out of here.
We manufacture a line that's laser cut and hand welded, and that means there's no seams and no rivets where the media can escape and fall to the ground. In blasting, safety issues are when you get sandblasting media on the ground and people can slip on it, fall on it. So you want everything contained inside the cabinet.
What are they made of that sets them apart from the others that are out there?
Well, the wet blasters are made of stainless steel and the dry blasters of standard steel, and it's all 14 all the way down to 10 gauge on the door panels.
There's the wet blasting and the dry blasting. Let's talk about dry blasting first. That's what people might be the most familiar with. What are some of the applications for that, and why would you want to dry blast?
Well, dry blasting is a little bit different than the wet blasting in the sense that dry blasting is really prepping the surface for paint, powder coat. You can use glass bead and smooth out a surface, but that's really the strength of the wet blast cabinets. For dry blasting, I tend to like to use that surface prep for paint, powder coat, wet coatings.
And of course, we have an audience of Motorheads. So let's talk about the different applications we'd have in the automotive world. When would you want to dry blast something? When would you want to wet blast something?
Let's take, for instance, a hood bracket that you're going to repaint. You want to strip that paint down with the dry blaster because it's simple and there's no water involved in it, and give it peaks and valleys and give it a profile that's going to actually let it adhere, the coating adhere to it better. You're creating more surface area, you're creating teeth, and then we call that a profile. So that's an application where you want to use dry blast as opposed to wet blast.
And what else do you have to do then once you're done blasting it to get it ready to paint or primer?
Really just blow it off with compressed air, and you're ready to paint. Clean the surface.
And if you get something like a carburetor or something inside the engine, talking about a block,
yeah.
I know a lot of people have been very skittish, and you don't want to dry blast that because it's going to etch the actual and take some material off, and you've got tight tolerances in there.
Yeah.
So that is where wet blasting comes in.
So what's really new to the market and kind of new to automotive in general and engine components is wet blasting. And wet blasting has a magic way of taking the same media that you use in dry blasting and actually adding water and then doing what we call a slurry or vapor blasting. And that has a magic way of sending the media at the part and then sideways and giving it a polishing effect. So in the most instances, we use glass bead, which is a round bead and has a peening effect, and we use that in combination with the water, and it completely changes blasting. And what it's doing is it's giving you an OEM finish on aluminum parts, brass, plastic. So any part that you take off of an engine that is aluminum that you want to look OEM new, you can do that very, very quickly in a wet blast cabinet, and then just leave that coating, blow it off with air, dry it, leave it off, and you've got a brand new part.
You've been doing this for a long time, and you told me there's a lot of misconceptions people have about wet blasting when it comes to parts like that, and how do you prove them wrong?
In the automotive industry, everybody's fearful of putting glass bead or any blast media into an engine. And that really stems from the old school of dry blasting. And what you would have happen in dry blasting is the media would go into an area and hit it directly into the part, and it would create it would stick. It would actually fracture and stick in different ports on an intake manifold or a carburetor and get stuck. And you don't want that piece in your engine when you're rebuilding it. So wet blasting is different in the sense that the media gets sent at the part and the water helps it move away from the part kind of sideways, and you're not impregnating the surface of the part. It doesn't touch the surface, it flattens it, and the media doesn't stick. So it's very easy to take a carburetor, after you've blasted it, rinse it out with water, nothing stuck in it, blow dry it off with air, and you have no issues with putting a piece together and having any media left in the part at all.
Well, I mentioned Raptor Blaster has cabinets for both hobbyists and professionals, so head on over to raptorblaster.com and you can find smaller hobby versions of their cabinets at a smaller hobby version of the price. You get a lot of bang for your buck, believe me. More Motorhead Garage coming up, including a really cool Motorhead of the Week you're going to love. Motorhead Garage is brought to you by Smeding Performance, building high-performance turnkey crate engines for over 30 years. Quick Latch Products, no tools required to operate. And by Ion Classic, the best way to document your restorations. Our PaintedAutoParts.com Motorhead of the Week has a vehicle that is going to make you smile. This is Brad Farmer from Abingdon, Virginia, and this is his 1963 Ford F100 pickup truck. But the chassis and powertrain are from a 2001 Ford Crown Victoria. Brad tells me he'd seen some Crown Vic swap videos online, and he found the perfect donors for his project. He bought the Crown Vic at a police auction. It had only 120,000 miles on it, and get this, a great deal at just $800. And the truck, well, his father-in-law gave it to him for free, so you can't beat that. The project took about 4 months, and it turns heads everywhere he goes. It's a great-looking truck. Brad also helped his son Laban. He did a similar truck, and that's sitting on a 2009 Crown Vic. And there they are with Brad's other son, Jesse, who has also been our PaintedAutoParts.com Motorhead of the Week. If you have a great story like Brad's, you can be our Motorhead of the Week. Just tell us your story at motorheadgarage.tv. When we decided to talk about ATVs and UTVs, we decided to go big, and that's why we went to the industry leader in ATV and UTV aftermarket parts and accessories, and that is Super ATV. Braden, in short, give me the summary of what Super ATV does.
So at Super ATV, we make everything from suspension components to storage, windshield, tires. We make a little bit of everything for many year make model UTVs and ATVs.
He says a little bit of everything. They've got a lot of everything if you look at their catalog. And let's start with some of the everythings on this vehicle over here, starting with the winch up front here on this Maverick.
So on this machine, we have one of our ready fit winches. We offer these 25 all the way up to 12,000 pounds. Our winches in general. Ready fits 45 and 6,000. One of the things that sets the ready fit aside from any other winches, it's ready to install, hence the name. Solenoid is going to be bolted onto the winch mount on most models, pre-wired, ready to go, just to make it easier for the customer.
The windshield on this vehicle is great, and that's something you specialize in at Super ATV.
So we have a multitude of windshields, everything from a half windshield to a full glass flip down windshield. This one here on this X3 is going to be a flip windshield. So with our windshields, we're going to have a couple of different options on materials. We're going to have just a clear, then we're going to have a scratch resistant clear. Anything that is scratch resistant clear is going to have our proprietary XR optic coating on it, which we do right in Madison, Indiana. Same place that we're cutting these out, bending them, packaging them up, and sending them directly to the customer.
And you talked about options on there. You got a lot of options when it comes to racks as well.
So this is going to be our outfitter roof rack. We offer these for a wide variety of machines as well. One of the things that is great about the outfitter roof racks is going to be the options. So you can option these things out. Both machines that we have in here today have one. Few options, we have an outfitter bed rack that'll go right with it, so you can have a continuous storage area on the top of your unit from the front to the rear.
The doors are something Super ATV does as well, and those are great for safety, and there's a lot of functionality added to those as well.
Absolutely. So this is going to be a half aluminum door. We make doors in aluminum. We have them in polycarbonate as well, same material that we're utilizing on our windshields. Wide variety of doors.
Of course, Super ATV has a huge selection of suspension parts. You can see them on the radius arms there, and you can also see them on the front of this vehicle. We'll get to that in a minute. First, I want to talk about something you can't see, and something that's super important. It's underneath the skid plate. Tell me about that.
So on this machine, we've got one of our half-inch UH&W skid plates. One thing that really sets our skid plates aside is that we use a patented interlocking design. So the benefit of that is they puzzle piece together essentially. So you're not going to have a piece hanging down that when you crest over a rock that you could potentially rip it off.
That would be a big problem on the trail.
Absolutely.
For sure. And now I mentioned suspension. Let's talk about the A-arms here. How are those different than a stock A-arm we might get in a vehicle like this?
So these are our Atlas Pro arms. These are going to be forward offset, also high clearance, and they're going to be made of a larger diameter tubing. So instead of a 1-inch tube, We make these out of 1.5 inch in diameter tube.
Obviously, the clearance is something people think about a lot. Why the offset? Why would somebody want that?
Just to gain a larger tire. So a lot of times you end up hitting the tire on the inner fender well. So we're taking that position and moving it forward 1.5 inches or even 2 inches on some A-arms that we offer.
And then this thing is lifted, and you're using portals instead of a lift kit. What are portals for folks who may not know?
So a GDP portal is going to give you lift, 4, 6, or 8 inches of lift, depending on which one you choose, a gear reduction, which we have multiple options of gear reductions for each portal, and then it's also going to give you some width.
Well, let's take a look up here and see how a portal actually works when you crack one open and look at the inside. Now, Braden, what's happening in there?
So what's happening inside of here, the axle is going to be inserted into this upper gear, and then the power is going to be transferred down to the hub, which is going to be on our lower output shaft. So these gears are going to take all the wear and tear and the strain off the transmission, differentials. Also, you get your gear reduction, your width, and in this case, an 8-inch lift.
So it's a double whammy. Best of both worlds there. Now, this is a transmission you guys have at Super ATV. How is this better than an OEM transmission that would be on one of these vehicles when you buy it?
We came out with a heavy-duty transmission, but we made something even better. This is a geared reverse transmission. So people that would try to swap a turbo transmission into an XP1000 or a General, things of that nature, we have a direct drop-in. It's a lot more cost-effective and a lot easier to install.
There is a whole world of UTV and ATV accessories and parts at superatv.com. You will not believe what they have for your vehicle. That is going to do it for this episode of Motorhead Garage. We're going to do it again in 7 days. We sure hope you join us then. From our entire crew here, we will see you next week. Until then, drive safely.